G'day guys and gal. As you may know, there's a little bit more to my life than just Warhammer 40k lore. I also like other autistic hobbies like Jiu Jitsu, and even have posted a few of my tournaments on this channel already. Now I haven't actually competed for a very long time due to a combination of insane workload, injury, travel, but most importantly, mindset. I need to be in the right state of mind to go fight a bunch of random dudes in my pajamas. However, I'm also about to get my next belt, my purple belt, so I promised myself I would do one last tournament before that. I decided to enter into 3 divisions, which is quite a lot, and would see me fighting up to 15 people in one day. It also meant I could potentially take home 3 gold medals. Go hard or go home, right? So today I thought it'd be fun for us to look at how each match went, showing off the fun parts and letting me explain what I actually was doing each match, as to the untrained eye, it kinda looks weird and gay. Was I able to take home 1, 2, or 3 gold medals? Was I able to take home any at all? Let's get into it. So my game plan going into this competition was to be hyper aggressive in the stand-up to begin the fight with a takedown and starting things off with me on top of the opponent, who would be a bit stifled by getting their ass dumped on the ground. I had a 3-chain takedown sequence, which you'll see a fair bit of in this video. In match 1, which was the open weight class gi division, I was going up against a guy heavier than me. I opened up by baiting a Russian tie by giving him my sleeve and using that to try pull him in. He circled to avoid me locking it in, so I ditched it and went to the second chain of my takedown, a swing single, which I wasn't able to get, but it did put him off balance and I forced him off the mat. You just gotta bully them a bit. We reset in the middle and I started setting up my sequence again, but he decided to sit down as he wasn't having fun in the stand-up anymore. However, because he did so due to being overwhelmed, it was an easy to pass guard and I ended up in side control, scoring points for me. This is exactly where I wanted him and I began hunting for submissions. Now in a previous competition, I was able to score Americana after Americana. However, this guy must have watched that video as he hit it well, so instead I attempted to choke him with my own gi, my pajamas. He did a decent job of defending that, so I proceeded to switch to a Kimura grip. Now in Jiu Jitsu, just grabbing a submission or takedown against someone semi-competent is extremely difficult. You need to set it up, and that often involves going for a move, they defend it, and then the defense of that move allows the opening of another move. By defending the lapel choke, it opened him up for the Kimura attack. Now he defended that pretty well, so I was feeling a bit cheeky and went for a Torika Plata, a move I'm pretty new to but gets you massive style points. Anyway, I didn't have it deep enough, so I ditched it and returned to side control. I wanted him on his back, so I simply grabbed his legs and dumped them where I wanted them. Sometimes the ugly moves are the most effective. Then I simply rinsed and repeated, going back to my lapel choke attempt, but this time he didn't defend it successfully, and after a bit of adjustment, I got my lapel around his neck and used my leg to leverage the choke, getting the tap and winning the match. As a bit of a funny moment, after the match, the guy told me that he has never pulled guard in a competition before, but was so overwhelmed by my stand-up that he felt he didn't have a choice. This was actually the only match in the division for absolute gi, so I won my first gold here. Let's see if I can win the next 2 divisions, which did have more competitors and competitors of a higher caliber. In my next match, this guy was super friendly, which is nice. Always better to have a bit of fun with it to calm the nerves, as opposed to going up against some guy that looks like he wants to beat you to death and then fuck your dead body. Once again, I began my 3-part takedown sequence. His early gripping made the Russian tie unviable, but the swing single was a roaring success, giving me the early takedown and allowing me to pass into side control, a solid early lead. His attempt to get up exposed the Kimura, so once again I grabbed onto it and secured a strong top position, establishing dominance by rubbing my sweaty scrotum on his face. Now the most straightforward submission here is to rip his arm up and then chicken wing it behind his back. You can see me attempt to do so, but he was gripping his gi, so locked that down. Now in hindsight, I should have pulled his arm in front of his body, then up, then behind, as opposed to just trying to pull it up and then behind. However, when the adrenaline is pumping, and oh boy is it pumping, finesse does crumble. I needed to make sure I didn't do anything too dumb to give up top position, so I made sure to strip any grips he tried to get and maintain my base. In saying that, I did get ready to go for another Torika Plata, but he blocked it, so we went back to the Kimura. Now he was defending well, but it's important not to rush these things. He is burning energy faster than I am. He is getting crushed. He is the one losing morale and getting stifled. When they lock down, it's better to just whittle them down and probe their defenses. Eventually something will open up. If you go for something big and fancy, there's a very good chance they can reverse it and gain advantage. And just like that, the Kimura is back on. Done correctly and I get the tap. Winning my second match of the day. Props to this guy, it was his first ever competition, and I remember laughing with him during the match when he looked at his coach and said out loud, "What the fuck," halfway through. Now onto my third match, which if I won, would win me the gi 84 kilo weight class and second division of the day. However, my competition was a beast. He coached at the gym he trained at, and I had seen him win some matches before this. He even went for a flying armbar in one of them, which is a move not for the faint of heart. Now this is where the 3-part takedown sequence shines. I offer up the Russian tie bait, he takes my sleeve but backs out when he realizes. I quickly switch to the single leg swing, which he avoids by stepping his legs back. However, that allows me to enter into close range and perform my sacrifice throw, finally getting him down and allowing me on top. However, he does a fantastic job of not allowing me to pass the side control, using his knees and frames to block me. Now, I probably should have just dropped my hips as soon as I took him down to kill his knee frames, but yeah, I didn't do that, so he ended up in half guard. I go for a weave pass, but he was just so dogged at preventing it, and now I was the one getting stifled and frustrated. Every time I got so close to passing, he would just get a leg or a knee or something in to block and stop me, even inverting. I was using a ton of energy trying to get past this as well, so I was gassing out pretty quickly. I even tried to go for a few cheeky Americanas from half guard, just in case I got lucky with the angle or if he had bad shoulders. Spoilers, he didn't, and I ended up getting full guarded for my troubles. In all the mayhem, we ended up in a bit of an ashy position, which means my legs were now in danger of getting attacked. If he managed to create space and extend my leg, I could be fucked here. I'm trying to stay heavy and on top, slowly unwinding the ashi, but then he goes for it and manages to create the space he needs. I hold on for dear life and he attempts a straight ankle lock. Now this is where something unfortunate happens. You know how I spoke about a lack of finesse in competition? Well, in his frantic attempt to ankle lock me, he put zero pressure on my ankle and a shitload of pressure on my knee, causing a grade 1, grade 2 LCL sprain, and I heard a distinctive clicking noise, which was a bit concerning, but look, if he was going to take my knee, I was going to take the dub. I managed to clear his legs and get my leg to safety before getting back to my knees. At this point, I was beyond exhausted, but so was he, and the clock was running down, and I still had my points from the takedown at the start. Now, I actually had a solid position here, but I made the mistake of trying to attack his arms instead of getting my legs unstuck and securing a genuine pass, a mistake that eventually allowed him to recover close guard. Now, close guard can be dangerous, as even though he is on the bottom, he has a lot of attacking options. Now, the Mad Lad attempts a sit over sweep, which generally requires a lot of momentum, or a strength advantage over your opponent, which he didn't have, so I dumped him back down to the mat. However, the man wasn't done trying to end my life, and after some more mistakes born of exhaustion on my behalf, he goes for a solid armbar attempt. One wrong move here and the match is over and I lose. So I need to ensure I protect my arm while stacking him to prevent him from extending, while also not allowing him to invert and roll me, while also trying to get my arm out. Fortunately, I managed to defend this perfectly and I get my arm out, while also avoiding a triangle and ending up back in full guard. At this point, he was spent. There was like 30 seconds on the clock, so I hunkered down. You can see his desperation to score something. Going for a wild armbar that was significantly easier to defend than the first one, I ended up just locking it up as the timer hit 0, scoring the win. This dude was an animal. I was literally laying down for 20 minutes after this, feeling like I was going to die. However, that was my second division win and the second gold of the day. Now, obviously my knee wasn't feeling super awesome after this, but an LCL sprain doesn't swell, the pain isn't sharp, and you don't actually lose much mobility. It just more so feels like something is wrong with you, but you can't figure out what. However, it was now time for my third and final division, no-gi. Now, I don't actually train no-gi, and I've never competed in no-gi. I just kind of entered in for a laugh. The main difference is that in gi, you can grab their clothes. In no-gi, you can't, so there's a lot less control. My knee also wasn't feeling great, so my stand-up suffered a lot. However, I wasn't going to start pulling guard like some bitch. You don't get into Valhalla from pulling guard. So I just went in and started hunting my 2-on-1s and Russian ties. Now, although I wasn't able to cleanly secure it, it was stifling enough that my opponent got overwhelmed and decided to sit down into guard, causing a bit of a random back and forward scramble. As you can see, there is a lot less control happening, but it is quite a lot of fun flying and sliding around. Now, he did actually end up getting on top of me and even passing me, scoring the first points against me for the entire day. Dude even did a slick step over to mount that I quickly countered and got into half guard. From here, I entered into lockdown and went for my favorite lockdown sweep, the John Wayne sweep, which is also the one I hit on the big judo black belt in my previous competition. Now, I was taking this one a bit easier, but you can see my inexperience with the no-gi showing, as I got swept once again, but I used the uncontrolled nature of no-gi to reverse it and get back on top. And after a bit more work and a moment of, I can't be fucked doing this anymore, I passed into side control. Now, many moves that work in gi also work in no-gi, some even more so, and the Kimura is a great example of this, so I began hunting it. However, once again I rushed it without the correct leverage and didn't manage to finish. We'll reset back in the middle of the mat in the same position. After a bit more effort, I finally got the Kimura and the win. Now, getting a Kimura is actually easier in no-gi, as he wasn't able to hold on to his own gi to help lock it down, so it's way easier to rip it up and chicken wing them. Now, my knee was feeling even worse now and I thought about pulling out, but I was like, fuck it, and I went for my next match. As you can see, I was guarding my injured leg a bit more and didn't have the same stand-up confidence, which allowed me to be taken down for the first time on the day. But I also had no interest in letting this guy pass straight away, so after a bit of a spastic scramble, I managed to secure half guard. Now, here's where you can probably see me wig out a bit. In gi, I have all these cool half guard sweeps and bumps, but they require grips, something I couldn't get in no gi. So I actually remembered a bit of a cool sequence. I went for an underhook on his arm, then faked to the leg, then went back for a deeper underhook, and then pretended defended like I was going to stand up, this made him overbalance and begin to stand up as well to try shut me down, which then allowed me to dive back under for the leg and secure a pretty sexy sweep if I say so myself. My coach calls this kind of thing rocking the boat. You switch between attacking each side in rapid succession, causing them to rapidly move their weight from side to side or back and forth to defend it, all the while causing more and more momentum to build up until the final rock lets you tip the boat over. Now, as before, I made them eat my sweaty balls as I began Kimura hunting. However, I gave him too much space and the lack of grips meant he was able to get to his knees and then stand up. Now, he was probably feeling pretty confident with the stand up after the start of the match, but I decided no more Mr. Nice Guy and hit him with a very clean sacrifice throw. After a bit more effort, I got back to my Kimura grip, blocked him from defending his arm with my leg, and then ripped his arm up and back for the Kimura chicken wing finish. Now, after this, my knee was screaming at me and my next opponent was a leg locker, so I decided that winning 2 divisions and half of a 3rd division was enough, and going for triple gold wasn't worth potentially blowing my knee out, so I put out of the rest of the matches. However, the 2 wins still meant I ended up in 3rd place and got a bronze medal, which was nice. So I ended up the day with 5 wins, 4 by submission, 0 losses. Not a bad result overall, and I can comfortably hold my head up high and say I'm ready for my purple belt. As always, a massive shout out to all the other competitors. Anyone who competes in Jiu Jitsu, no matter what the outcome is, has my respect. It's extremely intimidating fighting strangers. Massive shout out to my coaches and gym at Academy Jiu Jitsu in Camberwell, Melbourne. If you're from Melbourne and you want to train with me, then that is where I go. I post all my Jiu Jitsu, hobby, and just life stuff on my Instagram, so if you want to check out that side of things, you can click the link in the description below. Kind of like a BTS, Life of Majorkill. My knee is mostly okay. A grade 1, grade 2 LCL strain isn't so bad. I just limp around like I've shat myself and will do so for the next week or so. Back to regular programming. Peace.